Energy prices are rocketing, and with summer in Europe coming to a close, there are fears the situation could spiral out of control as we head into winter. Governments are scrambling for solutions. The EU has already implemented gas consumption directives, but it may not be enough to avoid blackouts and cut-offs. The industry minister of the Czech Republic, which holds the rotating EU presidency, has called an extraordinary EU summit to address the situation as soon as possible. Europe's biggest economies are set to suffer the most. In France, a country highly dependent on nuclear energy, the shutdown of numerous reactors due to maintenance needs sent the cost per megawatt hour soaring to €900 on the futures market, 10 times higher than a year ago. To make matters worse, renewable energies have suffered the consequences of one of the hottest and driest summers in living memory. Rivers are running low, with no power to move hydroelectric power plants at full capacity, or to transport fossil fuel cargo. While European consumers experience rocketing energy bills, at the eastern borders of the EU, Russia is burning millions of cubic meters of gas per day. A bright torch is visible above Portovaya gas plant in the Leningrad region. According to the Rystad energy analysts, Gazprom is most likely burning off excess gas that was intended for shipment to Germany. Supplies via the Nord Stream 1 pipeline were cut after the invasion of Ukraine. Germany considers this a political move, but Gazprom insists it is down to technical problems. This situation may also cause serious concern among environmentalists. Russia has the highest volumes of gas burned during mining, which leads to additional emissions of CO2. Back in April, the Russian Union of Industrialists warned that with the start of the war and after sanctions, energy companies would be forced to significantly increase flaring beyond recommended levels, due to a lack of space to store excess product.
Cracks have started to emerge on the walls of homes built on clay-based soils in France. They're a consequence of the repeated heat waves and lack of rain this summer. This year, up to 10 million homes in the country could be affected. For some buildings, they are a threat to their very existence.
Here is a crack, so there is a risk of danger if this facade collapses, with the roof that will follow, and that could be catastrophic.
And in the sprawling vineyards of the Bordeaux region, the grape harvest is now well underway. But it's about a month early. Usually it begins in mid-September. It's not been an easy year for winemakers, who faced record temperatures.
We usually water the ground before we plant, right after the vine is planted, and maybe once or twice, but this time it's maybe the fourth time we're watering the young vines on top of what we usually do.
Gilles, 80 cows in the north of France, should be grazing in the fields. But due to a lack of rain, grass hasn't been growing since the beginning of summer. For now, the cows are being fed fodder, but this can't last for very long.
In principle, cows will be sold because they cannot be fed. If cows are sold, there will be much less milk next year, which means even more pressure on dairy products next year, from 2023.
France, like other European nations, has been badly hit by wild temperatures this year. Many farmers cannot afford another bad season next year.
A spyware scandal rocking Greece and putting extreme pressure on the Greek government is causing alarm across Europe. The European Parliament and the European Commission now actively looking for answers. The Greek National Intelligence Service spied on one MEP and one journalist, allegedly using the malware Predator. The government denies all. But in Brussels, the Commission is keeping a very close eye on Greece's response to questions about the surveillance.
As this regards, of course, national security, yes, national security is a member state competence. However, when guaranteeing national security, member states must apply relevant EU law, including the case law of the European Court of Justice when doing so.
Here in the European Parliament, a number of members are calling for an investigation and a comprehensive debate about the very issue. 4 political groups from the centre, the left and the Greens are leading these calls. The centre-right European People's Party staying quiet for now.
We are insisting really on one hand on a mission to Greece, also of this committee to clarify, but also that we really have a full inquiry of this as we do this with other cases. I mean, this is really a threat to democracy and rule of law, and therefore it needs to be clarified, as we do with other member states, by the way. And it not only affects a member of the European Parliament, but also Greek journalists. And the freedom of media is also something that is of utmost importance on European level.
Next week, 2 hearings are in the European Parliament agenda about the topic spyware against citizens. But it's still unclear if the Greek case will feature there. Maeve McMahon, Euronews, Brussels.
Argentina's football fans rejoiced as one of the iconic jerseys of national hero Diego Maradona was returned to them. In a ceremony in Madrid's Argentinian embassy, former Germany player Lothar Matthäus unveiled the symbolic number 10 shirt from the 1986 World Cup final.
It was hard for me to give this shirt back because it's such a great souvenir. But in the end, I knew that this amazing relic of history, of world football, the jersey that I exchanged with Maradona during half-time at the World Cup, belonged here in Madrid.
After swapping jerseys, Argentina then went on to win the Cup. Over the last 36 years, calls for the shirt to be repatriated have grown louder and more insistent. The shirt will go on display at the Football Museum Legends in the Spanish capital. Earlier in May, another shirt worn by Maradona during his Hand of God goal fetched over €9 million at auction.
A Frida Kahlo artwork is going on display for the first time in 25 years. The last self-portrait completed before her death in 1954. It features tears in her eyes and her husband on her forehead. It was bought by renowned Argentinian collector Eduardo Constantini, committed to supporting Latin American art.
I have known this work for 40 years. I've never seen it, but it is in all the books. When it appeared that the work was going to be sold, well, we started to tremble, didn't we? Unfortunately, the value, sometimes you come across these works and it breaks all your finances.
Diego and I was sold for more than €30 million, making it the most valuable Latin American portrait of all time. Kahlo's work will be shown at a Buenos Aires museum nearly a year after it went up for auction. It's part of an exhibition of more than 240 works, many of which have not been seen in public for decades.
This is a spectacular exhibition devoted to the French-Hungarian painter Simon Taille, a masterful figure of abstraction whose birth is being celebrated this year. More than 130 masterpieces will be spread over nearly 3,000 meters squared, showcasing the artist's major periods with paintings by Henri Matisse and Jackson Pollock. Many of the works have never been exhibited before and are, for the most part, large-format, centered paintings from the second half of the 20th century. The Biennale di Venezia, created at the end of the 19th century, has established itself as one of the most prestigious artistic events of the year. Until November, tourists and art lovers can enjoy contemporary creations by artists from all over the world. This year's event, with its program and its generic title, The Milk of Dreams, is an unmissable event that uses art to re-enchant a world in the midst of ecological and political upheaval. The Berlin music season opens this weekend with the Musikfest, which features no less than 50 works by over 40 composers. Berlin's leading orchestras will be present, as well as the most prestigious orchestras from Europe and around the world. The festival not only attracts hundreds of musicians, but also thousands of classical music lovers from all over the globe. 33 ensembles in total and numerous soloists will gather for an event to end the summer on a high note.